Okay guys, so I hope everybody's doing really well. I've now finished my recovery period from the Dublin Marathon where I ran 2:11:51, I believe. I was third place. It really kick-started that campaign to qualify for the Paris Olympics in the marathon. So I took some downtime, I took that recovery time just to let my body and probably psychology just calm down, let all the sort of hard work that I had done for Dublin just get a chance to settle. I feel as athletes we have this fear almost of losing what we've built, and so it can be difficult to take a rest period because you understandably don't want to lose the fitness from all that hard work where you've maybe just grafted for months and months. I'm not very good at taking rest periods, but I also needed to accept that my results and the consistency of my results perhaps wasn't as good as it could be. And so I had to really make a decision where it's like, have you been doing things the right way? I give people all this advice and lots of advice, and I would tell them, after your marathon, take 2 weeks off, but I wouldn't set that for myself. And that's when you're making emotional decisions and not logical decisions. So this time I took those 2 weeks. It was really important to just, let everything calm down physically, emotionally. If you've seen some of my uploads leading into Dublin Marathon, the emotions, everything was a little bit chaotic. And to pull off a really good race was fantastic. I decided that what led to a really good race was in the final 6-7 weeks was lots of very, very good decisions. Very good decisions, sticking to that plan up the mountain in Fontramaux, training with the group, and that built a really good result. So moving forward, it was like, okay, so how do we now, get a better result in future? Well, let's make some really good decisions. And that's kind of the plan moving forward, is to make sure that when I'm training, when I'm preparing for another marathon or another race, you've give yourself an opportunity for it to go well. You've put the right things in place, altitude training, good sleep, good nutrition, good strength training, stick to a running training plan in terms of the actual training day to day. Don't get sloppy with it, don't lose discipline, execute that training in a good way. Once you do that for probably 2, 3, 4 months, it's almost a guarantee that race day will go really well. When you start to make poor decisions, emotional decisions, changing plans, not sticking to a plan, perhaps not dedicating yourself the way that running needs you to dedicate to get a big result, well then you're relying on luck. And there's very little room in running or in the running world for luck. So that's the plan. So I'm up here in Flagstaff, Arizona. I didn't need to come to altitude right away. I had obviously prepared in Fontramaux in France. That's where I did all the hard training before Dublin. But I thought Flagstaff for me is a good place to just almost find my feet again when I start that process of building back into training. How do you post-race, how do you start to build yourself back into training in a way that builds that fitness that you need to go and race again, but that you don't rush things so you end up getting injured or you end up rushing the training so you sort of like peak too early, and how do you be patient with it in that process. So what I've been doing this week is a mixture of runs, little bit of sessions, and also like some mountain biking. Again, the reason I love coming to Flagstaff is because, well, I have a very nice mountain bike in Flagstaff, but also because the trails, the uphill, you don't have to push super hard on the bike and you're getting a really big benefit aerobically. So I break myself back into training in that way. No double runs during the first week. But I do introduce some sessions, you could say. Like I did 4 by a mile on Tuesday. I actually did 8 by a mile yesterday, but they were at sort of that very low end of threshold pace, which if you've ever followed any of my journey previously and you've seen me do that low end threshold work at altitude, it's very slow, very frustrating, but it doesn't beat the body up that much. So I knew that would be okay. But this is really important during this phase, during this part of training. I've been in the gym every day. So I've been in the gym doing some yoga, keeping the body probably active in terms of like prehab type stuff, where you're doing like low-level gym stuff like your glute bridges, hamstring walkouts, you're doing some calf loading. In other words, you're trying to rebuild strength post-break and also support your body in its journey back into running, if that makes sense. So that's all very, very important, because once you've taken a bit of time off, the body doesn't love when you start loading it again. And some of those muscles that perhaps were firing really well in your full training, well, perhaps they won't be doing that anymore. So it's really important in that initial period when you're getting back into the training that you're doing your gym stuff, perhaps you're doing some yoga to keep the body mobile and open, and you're always, always, always keeping on top of the little things to make sure you don't get injured in those early stages of training. I might have been running 110 miles a week in that build up to Dublin. This week I might run 40. So you're also not jumping straight back into full mileage, and you're also not jumping straight back into full intensity. And so today, as probably you've been watching, I'm doing a run. Flagstaff got a little bit of snow, which is beautiful, but I just need to be careful on the snow. Today's more of a steady run that we've talked about and you've seen me do before, but not as probably steady from a pace perspective as I've done in the past. But that's because fitness, you've lost some fitness. You've lost that like top end like fitness when you're really in the thick of full training, when you're ready to peak for a race. You've got that top end where the heart rate's really good at certain speeds. I've kind of lost that, and that's okay. That was on purpose. That's what you want, and then you start to rebuild it. So steady run today, but perhaps not at the paces that I've often hit, just getting the body going again. I do want to come back to, I did an app review for a company called Exakt Health. You can check out their stuff online. They have an app which actually, during a period like this, if you are getting back into training and you're trying to avoid those niggles, they have a free prehab routine. Prehab is where you're trying to keep on top of the little things to avoid getting injured, so you never have to go through the rehab part. That's super important. So check out Exakt Health. You can download that app. Like I said, it's free. I do think one of the issues in the running world is when little injuries pop up, or when you don't have little injuries, but you know that your calf, your hamstring, your glute, every time you get back into training, one of those parts of your body tends to break down on you. Well, that's where this prehab stuff comes in really well. Really, really important, in other words. That's why I've literally been in the gym every single day this week. I'll film a little bit of it, I think, today, and I'll put it in the video. But there's lots of people in the gym, and I get a little bit like, don't want the camera out all the time. But it is very important. And so check out Exakt Health. You can download that app. You can start getting stuck into some of those prehab routines. My journey now is a case of, this video today was just giving people a update in terms of people who actually follow the channel, from how's the Olympic campaign going, are you going to qualify, etc., etc. Not so much how to improve your running cadence in 5 minutes. Not that video. So this is more of just an update, and now I'll start getting back into recording the sessions. When I'm not doing sessions, when I'm not really training, I didn't want to just upload videos for the sake of uploading them. But I realized that quite a long time has passed, but I'm also not quite sure yet which marathon I'll definitely be doing. I need to do one more marathon or half marathon, which will help the Paris Olympics qualifying, but I haven't totally decided which one, and I haven't totally decided where. Why? I'll know in the next week. I'll know by how is that fitness when you're getting back going again. Is the body okay? Are you able to handle somewhat full training? What if I get back into training and next week a little bit of a niggle shows up that, you know, perhaps I picked up like either coming back to training, or that perhaps was ongoing in the previous build up and then was made worse on race day. That should make sense. That's what you're looking to avoid. But if all goes well, and let's say the next 2 weeks I can really get back into some good training, well then perhaps you're in a position that you could do a marathon sooner than later. That would be advantageous, because then you can get full recovery post-marathon and do a longer build up to the Olympics. If you do run into a few issues, or the fitness just doesn't feel like it's there and it's going to take longer, well then you're looking for a marathon probably February, March, at the very, very, very latest April, preferably February, March. That gives you enough time to build the fitness to run really well, but it doesn't eat into your preparation window for the Olympics. So that's why there's been a lack of updates. I just haven't been concrete on what's next, what the plan is. I do know that the plan right now is to finish off this camp at altitude. That'll be 3.5 weeks in Flagstaff for now. I might extend it. Again, if I just think the fitness isn't where it needs to be, well then I'll push it a bit longer and I'll do a bit more training. That's a really fun way to think about fitness. Don't get frustrated by it. Just realize that, okay, it's not where I need it to be, so it's just going to require a bit more work. Fitness is one of those things that you can always work on, as long as you have the right attitude. So get yourself back into the running, don't rush back into it, add in some of that prehab stuff. You can check out the Running Masterclass. I did do a sale for the likes of Black Friday, and I mean, Black Friday, it was just an excuse to give people 20% off, but look, there's 20% off anyway. That's code 20 with capital letters. TWENTY, I think is how you spell it, 20. You can check that out. When I'm talking about wanting to make a big result or create a big result, and you're looking at strength, nutrition, recovery, psychology, all that good stuff, well, it's all on that website. So check out joggingroom.com. And look, I want to post more, but obviously when I'm in the thick of training, it's difficult, but I'll try over these next few weeks while I'm at altitude to just get a bit more footage. This part's easy, like the talking to the camera. It's just sometimes difficult to film parts of the session or without it disrupting the actual training. So, you know, I'll try my best to get as much videos or as many videos as I can uploaded. But I just want to thank everybody for the support in the previous build up to Dublin, in this entire process training for the Olympics, and just thank you so much. But yeah, have a lovely day. Be kind to yourself. If you are building back, be patient with that fitness rebuilding. And yeah, take care.